Once again, back nodding my head to music. That's not there yet. Let's see if it syncs up. Lint on the hat. All right, boom. So let's talk about this last beat I did, Higher. All right, and this is really like Higher, because I did some little vocals in the background. You might catch them, you might not. All right, so on this one, I wanted to do something a little bit different with the sample, especially on the crossfader. Normally, I got a deep love for filtered out samples. I said I necessarily don't want to do that on this one, like filter the sample out on one side to give you the like the woofy, heavy mid sound. For two reasons. Just because I do it all the time, and the second reason is that when I go to my homie DJ Red Handed's crib and check out the mixes in his really good monitors, it always sounds really low mid heavy. So I'm thinking the headphones that I use, these Beyerdynamic DT990 Pros, may be a little bit deceiving in the midsection. So just to switch up the process and to figure something else out, wanted to switch it up. So instead of doing the filter on the right side of the crossfader, what I did was I used the ADSR to cut off the samples quickly, almost to give it like a gated effect, like a fake gate. All right, I made a fake gate on the right hand side of the crossfader, all right, using the ADSR. And it turned out pretty cool. It added a lot of space. That's the gappiness that you feel. And on the left hand side of the crossfader, I use that more sparingly, and that's the sample in full with all those thumpy mids in all their glory. All right, yeah, so with the Mother 32, what I did was the pluck. And basically I used like let's say like a, high mid to medium mid to mid frequency pluck. And what that did for me is it basically added like something, a frequency, so your ear would know exactly what the bass was doing or what the bass was about to do. For this reason, I send the keyboard information from the Mother 32 into the Moog Workstat via patch cable. So not the gate information, but the keyboard information. So I turn the VCA on the Workstat, and it just gives you a tone, generates a tone. And that keyboard information from the Mother 32 is telling it which note to go to. So I have the Workstat pitched down 2 octaves lower than the Mother 32, which gave me a really fat subtone that I could turn on and off by either just muting my mixer back here or turning on the VCA on and off with the VCA knob switch on the Workstat, right? So that was cool. So it's like the pluck kind of gave you an idea or denoted what sound it was. And the Workstat worked as the sub. And with a bit of tweaking on both of them, you can make it sound like one singular instrument, but that's not really what I was going for. All right, I added the sub. The sub really worked well, rather, because the kicks that I use, I really don't use a lot of 808 style kicks. So it's a lot of room down there in the lows. And since I wasn't using, like that, the filtered out sample with all that mid in it, it had a lot of room for that sub to live. So that was cool. So you can get that yin and yang effect with the slim kick and the thick sub. And running the sub through the compressor, sidechaining the mix to the kick also helped a lot. All right, so the arpeggiated stuff is the Voca keys, right? So I've been, just messing around with the Voca keys. Because I'm adding on stuff like as additions to what I'm doing on the Octatrack, sometimes I tend not to give those other boxes their just due amount of attention. So I'm getting more into my Voca keys with that being said, and yeah, just started to play with the LFO of the cutoff, like the LFO rate of the cutoff. So on that arpeggiated, or that arpeggiated part, the arp, you could hear it, the cutoff shifting throughout. And I also was controlling whether it was playing, whether the vocal keys was playing an arp, or whether it was playing chords by switching it via MIDI from the Octatrack. So I programmed those notes in the Octatrack, controlling the vocal keys via MIDI, and I was switching it from chords to arp, just taking away and adding and taking away, adding and subtracting textures, adding and subtracting textures. The vocal drum was doing this. It's like the thing that I love it the most for, really, is providing auxiliary percussion. It's like I got like a Afro-Latin auxiliary percussion player right next to my drummer over there on the bandstand in the school. It's like I can get a lot of different textures up out of it. So yeah, that was this joint. If you listen to the end of the track, you hear me go a little crazier with that vocal keys, and there's also a built-in delay in the vocal keys that's really cool. So you'll hear me start playing with delay, especially primarily during the arp parts. It really doesn't work too well with chords because they tend to bleed over into the next chord. That may be cool for like some longer droning ambient stuff, but for this joint, I need things to fit right harmonically and tonally. That's what I've been trying to go for a lot lately. Make things that have, like, I think I got a lot of the kinks out with the setup. So now I'm like at a place where I want to develop it tonally and make it make sense, just musically. I felt like I got to that place earlier with the MPC 2500, but now I want to get there with the Octatrack. So yeah, man, I think I'm working a lot of kinks out as far as just like user issues. That's always a big just learning curve, just like, how do I work this, and what are all these tools for? So I think I've begun to get to the other side of that, cracking the code on that. And I'm now starting to explore a little bit more. So I feel like this is one of the better beats I've done in a minute. The other one that I did, Bodies, was really dope too. I'm beginning to crack the code. I'm going to drop a stem pack. I know for the Bodies joint, I didn't drop any stems. My man Brian, he forgive me if I messed up your name, but my man Brian, I think I'm bad short-term memory. But yeah, he told me that he wanted the stems for that joint and reminded me that I didn't put them up there. So I'm going to drop a stems pack with all the stems that are that I've been dropping already, plus everything else that's on this card in the Octatrack before I dump the card. So they take compact flash cards. So I got like a couple gig compact flash card in there. So it's a lot of beats on there with stems. So I'm gonna export all those stems out. You guys tell me, should I make all those stems one tempo, or should I keep the tempos differently? Y'all tell me if I should stretch it or keep those tempos different. So yeah, bet humming coming at you, and make sure y'all flip them stems too, man. Please, that's why I put them down in there, and tag me in it when you flip the shit. The last one, this last one I posted, it had some really bad vocals for me. But yeah, have fun with it. I'm interested to hear what you're gonna do with it. Peace, y'all.